The chief of the apostles was Peter. Tradition says that he died in Rome. The claims of the Pope to be the head of the Catholic Church even rest on him being the successor of Peter as the Bishop of Rome. But is it true that Peter lived in Rome and died there? In modern times, it has been claimed Peter's grave with his remains were found. Are these claims true? Watch this video to find out. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on exciting archaeological discoveries linked to the Bible. In 1939, construction workers were excavating the area beneath St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City to create space for the tomb of Pope Pius XI. During the excavation process, they accidentally broke through the floor and uncovered an ancient Roman necropolis. The breakthrough into the necropolis was an unexpected discovery and a significant archaeological find. It provided a glimpse into the ancient history of the area and shed light on the burial practices of the Roman period. The necropolis revealed various tombs and burial chambers that contained artifacts and remains from the Roman era. The necropolis became known as the Scavi, and further extensive excavations were carried out under the supervision of Vatican archaeologists. The Scavi is now world famous, as it not only includes the ancient Roman necropolis, but also the purported location of the tomb of the Apostle Peter. But is that true? Let's dive into the history that led the Vatican to making this claim. Tradition says that after the Council of Jerusalem in AD 49, Peter went to Rome. There he served as a bishop of the small Christian community meeting in homes. During this time, he also dictated the Gospel, ascribed by name to his secretary Mark, and his 2 letters included in the New Testament. In AD 64, Nero set fire to Rome so that he could build his new palace. Needing a scapegoat, he blamed the Christians. A horrific persecution ensued. Peter himself was arrested and condemned to death. He was taken to the Vatican Hill to the Circus of Caligula, a chariot racecourse. Tradition holds that Peter protested that he was not worthy to die in the same way as Jesus, and so was crucified upside down. After his death, the early Christians recovered Peter's body and buried it in a necropolis northwest of the circus, at the present site of St. Peter's Basilica. The faithful secretly venerated the grave and protected it from pagan desecration. Anicetus, Bishop of Rome from AD 155 to 166, built a memorial to mark the grave. In 330, Emperor Constantine began building a huge basilica at the gravesite to honor the Apostle Peter. The builders had to level the land, thereby filling in the necropolis. They purposely positioned the altar over the burial site of Peter. When Pope Julius began construction on the present St. Peter's Basilica in 1506 to replace the decaying original basilica, the high altar purposely remained over the burial site. So there is a long tradition pointing out the location of Peter's grave, but nobody knew the exact location of his bones. After the accidental breakthrough to the necropolis, Pope Pius XII initiated archaeological excavations beneath St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, with the aim of locating the tomb of Peter. The excavations were carried out under the guidance of the Vatican archaeologist Monsignor Ludwig Kaas and overseen by a team of experts. One particular tomb, known as the Trophy of Gaius, was identified as an early Christian burial site due to the presence of graffiti and inscriptions referring to Peter. Inside the tomb, a collection of bones was found wrapped in a purple and gold cloth. The bones were carefully analyzed and subjected to various tests, including carbon dating, to determine their age. The results indicated that the bones dated to the 1st century AD, aligning with the time of Peter's martyrdom. On June 26, 1968, Pope Paul VI announced that the remains found beneath St. Peter's Basilica were indeed those of the Apostle Peter. What were his reasons for doing so? The main pointer towards Peter's bones was Greek graffiti on a wall that read "Petros Eni," or Peter is within. Other graffiti asked St. Peter to pray to Christ for deceased people, and others were common Christian symbols like the Alpha and Omega or the Chi and Rho. A variety of bones were also found. One set, which originally had been buried in the earth, were found in a secret marble repository in the graffiti wall. These bones had been wrapped in a purple fabric with gold threads. Were these St. Peter's bones? In the early 1960s, anthropologists studied the bones. The bones were mostly fragments, with only a few being about 6 inches. They included pieces of the cranium and jaw, including a tooth, vertebrae, pelvis, legs, arms and hands. The anthropologists concluded the bones belonged to a man between 60 and 70 years of age, about 5 feet 7 inches tall and of robust constitution, an apt description of the fisherman Peter. The bones had been discolored by the earth, the same earth as in the grave. The purple and gold thread cloth, dated to the ancient Roman weaving techniques, was an extremely expensive cloth, reserved for imperial honors, thereby befitting the chief of the apostles. Some interesting questions had to be addressed. First, why no feet bones? Since St. Peter was hung upside down as a criminal, he was not entitled to a proper burial. The body of a criminal would have been dumped. The faithful must have bribed the executioners, who simply severed the body from the feet nailed to the cross and gave it to them. Such a practice was not uncommon. Second, why were the bones removed from the grave and placed in the secret repository? The brickwork of the repository dated to the reign of the Emperor Valerian in the middle of the 3rd century. Valerian intensified the persecution of the church. Sealing the bones inside the marble graffiti wall secured them from desecration. Third, the Basilica of St. John Lateran for at least 1,000 years has kept the relic of the skull of St. Peter. Were they of the same bones? When comparison tests were done, the anthropologists concluded nothing in the Lateran reliquary interfered with the Vatican bones. They speculated that the skull had been removed from the rest of the bones to preserve it. Given this evidence, in February 1968, an official report was presented to Pope Paul VI, who concluded that the bones had been identified in a way which we can hold to be convincing. Today, the bones of Peter are secured in 19 plexiglass boxes in the same repository where they had been found. In 2013, Pope Francis venerated the relics of St. Peter and displayed them for public veneration during the singing of the Nicene Creed. But the tomb of the Apostle Peter is now open for anybody to visit. St. Peter's Basilica is located on St. Peter's Square in Vatican City. St. Peter's Square is a large plaza in front of the Basilica and is easily recognizable. Once inside the Basilica, you can explore the various areas, chapels and artworks. The tomb of Peter is located in the necropolis beneath the Basilica. Access to the necropolis requires a separate reservation through the Excavations Office of the Vatican. The availability of visits to the necropolis is limited, and it is advisable to make reservations well in advance. If you do that, you can be in the presence of what are in all likelihood the bones of Peter, the apostle charged by Jesus to take care of his sheep. As many other archaeological finds, it is an indication that the Bible stories are not mere myth, but are actual history.